Hey everybody, I'm Scotty J. Got a very cool guest with us today for all you metalheads out there from Sao Paulo, Brazil. We got Timo from Armored Dawn. What's going on, man?
Everything's cool. Everything's cool. Everything's hot, but still cool.
Yeah,
Hanging around at home. Basically, everything's slow, so I'm hanging at home, but playing guitar, having fun.
yeah. Well, I gotta ask you something. Have you seen any Viking zombies running around Brazil yet?
I was waiting for that to happen, but disappointment. It didn't happen yet. That part of the pandemonium, but who knows tomorrow?
Oh my gosh, I know. Well, of course, I'm joking about the Viking Zombies, people, but that is the newest album that is out right now from Armored Dawn. So, trying to have a little bit of fun with that. But, man, these are some crazy times we're living in right now, Timo. I mean, like we were discussing a little bit before we officially got started here, there are plans for touring. There are plans for, supporting all this new material. And, like we said, I mean, I'm just outside Philadelphia, PA. You're down there in Brazil, and we are just all on lockdown. What's that been like for you guys?
Yeah, it's just basically boring. I mean, for April, we had like 15 shows booked, which everything is canceled now. For now, we are transferring everything to someday, nobody knows when. We have some shows with Sonata Arctic, a Finnish band. We were supposed to play in Brazil, in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Costa Rica. And for what I know, those going to happen maybe somewhere in November.
Wow.
And the rest of the shows, nobody knows.
Good
Everything depends on how fast this thing going to finish.
Man. Now, are you guys practicing your social distancing, or are you like you and Eduardo? Are you guys still like hanging out and stuff like that, or you guys aren't even hanging with one another physically?
No, we are physically everybody staying far. To me, it's easy. I'm from Finland, so I'm used to distancing from people. But basically, we figured that it's safer for everybody, especially because Tiago, the other guitar player, he has asthma or something. So
right on.
So he's in the group of risk. So it's better to everybody just stay at home and wait a few weeks. And I think after we're gonna be still home like a week or two, and then I'm sure we're gonna go back to practicing again.
Man. So, I mean, just out of curiosity then, since you guys are kind of spread out and everything's kind of in limbo right now, what is Armored Dawn doing to pass the time right now?
Actually, to pass the time, because everybody's at home, everybody's with computer, with guitars, with bass and keyboards and drums, so we started just writing songs for the next album already. We have extra time, we are not doing nothing, so what the hell, let's write songs. Just to not be sleeping all day at the couch.
All right.
So, but maybe with zero plans to release the album this year. Maybe next year, in the end of the next year, maybe. But at least then we are ready. Okay. Have tons of songs ready, so at least have something to do while we're waiting to be able to tour.
Right on. One of the things I'm curious about, Timo, just because we're fellow Scandinavians. As I pointed out a little while ago, my Johnson family is from Sweden. I'm third generation here. And you're originally from Finland. And you find yourself down there in Brazil. So I guess we have a woman to credit for this relocation of yours?
Surprisingly, yes. I think I'm most likely married the only Brazilian who doesn't want to live here, because everybody want to move away.
Really?
He doesn't. So, yeah.
All right.
So here I am after all these years, suffering from the hotness and chaos and pollution. And
man, well, you speak great English, and obviously Finnish is your native tongue. Do you also speak Portuguese?
Yeah.
Man.
I understood, because when I moved here, the first thing I learned that not so many people here speak English, and those who speak, they don't want to speak because they're afraid to say something wrong. So they say nothing. They say that I not speak English. So, and that's it.
Man.
So unless you speak Portuguese, you don't eat. So you
man, so you are a man of many tongues. Do you speak any other languages aside from Finnish and Portuguese?
No, not really. No, I mean, when I was in school, everybody learns Swedish, but I basically forgot everything.
Oh, okay, all right. I got to brush up on mine. It's been a long time since I've heard anything. My grandfather always used to throw around different Swedish terms with my grandmother and stuff. Like he always used to call her Öskling, and which from my memory means like darling, my sweetheart, something like that. And You know, they had a bunch of different things, but I tell you what, man. At least for you, you know, as amazing a guitarist as you are, you know, and you've got your music chops that serve you well. If all this stuff, you know, just remains in limbo, you could be like an interpreter, man. You could get a wicked job as an interpreter, I would imagine.
Oh, that would be a cool job also. So there's always hope if the music business goes down. There's always future for me.
You won't be out of work, that's for sure.
So there's future.
Yeah, there you go. I hope so. But we got to get back to supporting Viking Zombie. So, you know, what is a Viking Zombie?
Oh, that started actually, the whole Viking stuff started already, I think, some years ago, before the band even was formed, with Eduardo, the singer, because he always studied a lot. He reads a lot of all kinds of stories from Scandinavian wars and things, and he was always interested in Vikings.
Okay.
So he started writing songs about the lyrics about that, and that's where it all started. And this time, to go to the zombie part, he kind of figured that to get the music to talk direct to people, he figured that, you know, there's a lot of people, especially people who listen to rock music, they kind of feel isolated from the society. So you kind of feel like a zombie. You feel like you don't belong. You're in the middle of tons of people, but you don't really belong to the group. So from that, he started thinking that, oh, what about turning this Viking thing into zombie thing to get everything, you know, to connect more to the people who are always feeling isolated slightly.
All right.
So that, I think, is the basic idea for the.
Now this is your third album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right on, man. So when Armored Dawn first formed, when you guys were first getting together, was it you that kind of went out and found Eduardo to be the lead singer, or did he find you as the guitarist? How did you guys meet? How did that come together?
Basically, he started looking for musicians, and he met Rafael, the keyboard player.
Okay.
And Rafael is my friend for like 20 years already. When I moved to Brazil, I was playing in some bands, and he was playing in other bands, and we were always playing together in some clubs, and, you know, we always were planning to play something together, but that never worked out. And then he joined together with Eduardo, and they started thinking that he's trying to do something Scandinavian. Oh, I know a guy from Finland, so let's call him. Then we started finding the other guys and writing songs, and we had two lineup changes this far, and we changed the drummer after the first album and bass player after the second album, and here we are with the rest of the guys today.
Right on, right. Now, I have to imagine, you know, you being a native Scandinavian and Eduardo's passion for, you know, Scandinavian culture and, you know, mythology and the Vikings and everything like that. When he met you, he had to be like, yes, I have my authentic Viking in a band. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's not going to be easy to find a Scandinavian guitar player in Brazil. So.
Right? Yeah, of all the places, you know, you're not going to find them in Brazil. Not a whole lot of skiing, you know, in Brazil. Or any other winter sports for that matter. Oh, man, that's too funny. You know, just thinking of, like, all the, you know, rock bands and metal bands, you know, from Latin America, you know, and I mean, and there are some really notable ones, obviously, you know, with a band like, you know, Sepultura, you know, that came out of that neck of the woods. Was that something like on your mind, like getting involved in a band like Armored Dawn to kind of, you know, foster that effort along? Like, do you take a lot of pride in being a band from that area? Or do you more just think, we're just any other metal band out there, we love what we do, you know? Or is there a certain amount of pride coming out of Brazil?
No, that's really a real pride, because it's difficult for any Brazilian band to get our music out of here. First of all, because of distance. I mean, if you live in USA or Europe, anywhere in Europe, to go to play far from your home, you take a bus and you drive. Here, no. You put 5, 6, 7, 10 people to plane, you pay like $1,000 to flight for everybody to get anywhere. So you really don't go to play one show somewhere far.
Yeah, tell me about
that's
it.
Different than, you know, for especially for the rest of the guys, they are really trying to get the world to know that they are from Brazil. So actually for this, we are thinking that maybe in the next album we might try to get some Brazilian influences there. Not bossa nova or samba, but, you know, some kind of Brazilian rhythms. Because, you know, Brazilian rhythms, especially the drummers, tons of rhythms that you can use in the heavy metal. Like I think Sepultura did something like that with the Indians from the Amazon forest. So we are trying to avoid doing exactly that because that would be copying, and we don't want to do that. So we are thinking how we're gonna get some kind of twist to get something Brazilian into the metal. So let's see. That's probably gonna be something that we get out from the fourth album.
Right on. Has there ever been any thought about having like any collaborations on an album, say with like a Max Cavalera or anything like that? Would you ever get a guy like that to work with you on any music?
We've been thinking about that, but let's see in the future, because musically, I think if you would get him to do anything with us, the music would be more trash, even more trash than now, because after the first album, the music turned slightly more trash because our drummer had played trash metal for 20 years.
Okay.
In a band called Corsos here in Brazil. And for the third album, we got our new bass player. It's actually a guitar player of the Corsos, the Brazilian thrash metal band who'd been like 30 years playing thrash metal. So if you get more thrash guys involved, music's just gonna get heavier. But that's really something interesting to think about. So. But I think the main idea for the guys would be to get somebody who sings or writes something more traditional Brazilian music, nothing to do with metal, and mix that with metal.
Very interesting.
That goes.
All right, that's cool. Well, I noticed that you guys got a huge following. Even worldwide, coming out of Brazil, like you said, it's not without its challenges, but you guys got a real passionate fan base for sure. With that being said, do you find it challenging, coronavirus aside, COVID-19 aside, what's the metal scene, as a whole down there, like, for the style of music that you guys play? Do you find it to be, pretty good locally, or do you really need to kind of get outside that geographical area and do more touring in like Europe and the States and stuff like that?
Definitely. There's tons of great metal bands here, but for the audience, the Brazilian audience, it seems that they don't really get interested in bands who just play here. So for any Brazilian band to be noticed here, they have to go outside of Brazil. And when they come back, then the people start paying attention. But actually, it's not just here. I remember back in the 90s when I was still in Finland, Stratovarius was starting out. I think there are like 3 albums out, and I went to the shows. There was like 5 guys. Nobody really cared. People started paying attention to them after they hired Jens Johansen from Yngwie Malmsteen's band and a German drummer, and even more when they saw in the news that they had sold like 70,000 records in Japan. Wow. Then everybody in Finland noticed, oh yeah, this band, I always loved them. Then the career started going up. That's the way, and I think it's just exactly the same way that happens here. So for any Brazilian band, you have to play outside first, and that's why Sepultura, they always played outside a lot. So actually these days, I think they play like 4 or 5 shows a year in Brazil, and everything else is USA, Europe, somewhere. So
right on.
So now, you have to get out of the Brazil to play first.
Yeah. Now you talk about getting out of Brazil. Your homeland is Finland. Man, the metal scene up there in Scandinavia, it is awesome. All the bands that are coming out of there, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, it's a hotbed. It is like, woo! Ground zero, these days. It's insane. Do you take a certain amount of pride, being a native of Scandinavia, knowing how much that genre of music has evolved over the years?
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember back in the 80s and something when we were having the first bands in Brazil. People in Finland, people really didn't even think that, oh my God, we could get this band outside of Finland, some place to play in like Germany. Like nobody ever thought that would be possible. Nowadays, there's tons of bands coming out in Finland, Sweden, Norway, everywhere. And the musicians, the young guys, they are great. Seems they are born with guitars, and it seems that they study like 15 hours or 25 hours a day, and they just sit on the couch and learn, and they are so fucking awesome, the musicians today. And in the 80s, we knew how to play, but technically, there's tons of great bands now. And
oh my God, yeah, no,
it's everybody and their grandma plays in the band now. Probably does.
Technology helps, but you still got to have the chops, man. You know, because
Oh yeah.
not everybody can wield an axe like you do. I mean,
No.
you're solid, and that's one of the things that I really loved about Viking Zombie. Man, I mean, your playing on that is phenomenal, man. I love it. I mean, all the instrumentals that went into that. How do you feel so far about how Viking Zombie's been received?
Oh, I think, every time you release anything new, you start, you know everything, every note, yourself, you know that you like it, you think it's good. So, but there's always some kind of, you start thinking that, well, will the people really like this?
Have there been any surprises? Have there been any kind of surprising receptions to it? Whether being, critical, negative, positive, anything like that? Anything in particular that you didn't expect? Maybe, in terms of like airplay, has any song, from Viking Zombie gotten maybe more attention than what you might have expected?
I think what's happening that we were expecting the people who like metal would like the album, but we are hearing from a lot of people who actually were never metal fans who are liking the songs from this album, because I think it's because the melodies, because the melodies that we have, there's some songs that the melody is almost like pop music. I mean, so even people who are really not metal fans, they tend to like the song. So if we get them to listen to it in some radio station accidentally, because they won't go to listen to any heavy metal program, but accidentally when they hear it, they gonna lots of them seem to like it. And we did for some songs, we are doing acoustic versions to put them to actually try to get them to radio stations that have nothing to do with heavy metal.
Okay, cool.
Just to get people who don't like rock music that much to listen to it. And who knows, they like the song, they start studying more, they notice it's a metal band, maybe they start opening their perspective and start listening to a little bit heavier music as well.
All right on. Now, just kind of wrapping up here, because I know you're a busy man, even with this pandemic that we're all experiencing together worldwide, you got things to do. You got things to do for sure. You were talking earlier about the follow-up to Viking Zombie. Do you have any songs already completed for your next album?
We have in the same way as for the last album. I mean, like about 8 months before you start recording, we had all the songs ready.
Oh wow!
Of course, after we changed everything many times, but the basic forms of the songs were ready. Okay. Because for us it's easy. We have our own rehearsal space and studio. Actually, the 2 last albums were recorded in our own studio, which it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it makes everything easy. So if you feel like changing something at 3 a.m, and you just call the guys and you go to the studio and fix it or change whatever. But then again, whenever it's so easy to go back there and change, so you never finish. You always think of something that, but this could be a little bit better. Let's do it a little bit better. Yeah. So you actually never end it.
You never finish. Even though you're finished, you never finish.
No.
Yeah, comedy is not my future. Actually, I hope it is. But that was just a really, really bad joke. I apologize, man. It's all good. It's all good. Well, Timo, thank you so much for joining us on Rock Titan Live today. And again, everybody, make sure you go check out Armored Dawn's latest masterpiece, Viking Zombie. And please, everyone, as I've been saying, make sure you use your hand sanitizer copiously and toilet paper sparingly, because we don't want to be running out. Have you had a toilet paper craze down there in Brazil? Has everyone been buying toilet paper off the shelves like they have in the States?
Oh yeah, they did in the first days. There was huge lines of people buying everything, and until they know that the next day the stores were full of it again, because they have a huge stock of for like 6 months. So, all the grocery stores are open normally, so nothing is finishing. It just makes zero sense to go buying like hell.
Right?
But people are stupid. They see something in the TV and they think the world gonna end tomorrow. So,
man. All right. Well, everybody, listen to Timo. Listen to Timo. Okay? Don't be hoarders. Let's not be hoarders. But if you're going to hoard anything, hoard Armored Dawn's music. All right? Go get it. Go get their stuff. And Timo, thanks again, man. It's been a blast talking to you.
Thank you.
All right, man. I'm Scotty J. We are out.